Joining us now is famed actor James DuMont. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, James, the other night, I made myself a chicken pot pie. It actually wasn't really a chicken pot pie. I had a craving for it. So I used leftover turkey, some frozen vegetables, and then I took Ritz crackers and I crumbled them on top and I stuck it in my toaster oven. It was okay. It was like, it was okay. But what I did is I watched Candy Cane Lane and I loved every minute of it. I want to know, because that's one of your most recent projects, what your thoughts are on that particular project.
The thing I like about Candy Cane Lane is, again, working with an amazing director, which is Reggie Hudlin. I had worked with Reggie on Safety for Disney Plus, and this was an opportunity for us to work for a second time, and we'll be working many times together in the future. It was a great experience working opposite Tracy Ellis Ross. I We just kind of clicked. We had a shorthand, and we were both kind of quick and facile, and so playing Tracy Ellis Ross's boss, say that 5 times fast, and we had a great experience. And the good news is it's a movie for everybody. You got Eddie Murphy. It's a comedy. It's a family, and it's Christmas. So you kind of like checking all the boxes.
I really believe that it is so strong that it's going to be a new classic. It has all the right ingredients, the right cast, the right storyline. It was shot beautifully. Now, Reggie and I are both from St. Louis, and so he's my LinkedIn friend. So I've been trying to reach him, but he just must be like so on top of the world right now. So congratulations to all of you on
Yeah.
this amazing success. I liked your scenes very much. You What's so nice about you, James, is that you are a true actor, which means it's not just the words, it's your whole entire face. You say so much with that, your eyes, the little turn of your head, you know, phenomenal. You're really good at what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I was like, and it's funny, there's so much comedy. When did you get to see it premiere? Did you get to see it on the big screen or did you have a party? How did you guys all get together to see it?
Well, because I've been doing this for a while, I try to negotiate that, and I wasn't sure there was going to be a premiere, but I negotiated, that a couple tickets to the premiere if it happens, and I'll find my way there, and that's lo and behold, just the strike ended right at the right time. Thanksgiving was over, and I literally, went from I was with my family up in New Hampshire. Then I went to Vermont, and then from Albany to Atlanta, from Atlanta to Los Angeles, roll into LA at, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and stayed at my sister's house, and then made my way to the premiere a few days later. So I was able to go to the premiere. And then the fun thing for me is the first time I'm seeing the movie or seeing anything other than when we were doing, ADR and kind of fixing some of the sound from all the noise from the bottling plant that we were working in, because I knew ADR was going to happen at some point, and so I never had seen the whole movie. So I got the premiere was the first time I got to see the whole film. I brought my sister to the premiere, and I loved it. I just loved it, and thank you for that compliment. I think I try as best I can to. Peter Berg says that face. Peter Berg's like, I've worked with him 3 times, and there's times where he looks at me and he goes, "Man, you got, I used to make the joke, I have a face for radio." But Peter Berg just feels like I got this kind of everyman face that can fit into all these different types of roles. So it gives me the ability to seamlessly work from one character to the next. So for Peter Berg, I could be the vice president of BP, a good old Southern boy from, Lafayette, Louisiana, and then I can be the emergency management from Boston area with a hardcore Boston accent, and then I can be the Boston mob suit track guy that has a matching car and tracksuit. So, I serve certain directors well. Reggie being a perfect example. I think he's East St. Louis, and he says that's technically Illinois, and I think
Well,
he's
okay.
right.
He is correct.
There, East
Okay.
St. Louis is a borderline there. So, go ahead.
That is correct because the Spinks brothers are from East St. Louis. It's just over the river, right over the bridge. Most of us, though, still root for the Cardinals. Sorry if you're a Chicago Cubs fan, because I know that you're originally from
This is
Chicago.
I am definitely a Cubs fan for sure.
So the
But
Cubbies
you
and the
know,
Cards.
there's the Cubbies and the Cards. It's mortal enemies, and I respect both teams, especially when they have all these world championships, and we've been suffering for a century. But
Yes.
I got to see the game with my son, and that's a
Wow.
big thing because my grandfather was born in Brooklyn, so he's a Yankee. He was a Yankees fan, or maybe yeah, no, he was a Yankees fan, and then I grew up Chicago Cubs fan. My first games are Chicago Cubs fan, and then but my son and I got to like cry and share in that World Championship victory together, and so it was nice to see the generational like okay, we can put this behind us, like my father's father like wished the Cubs would. And so now we got that done. But there's a great writer. God, I'm blanking on his name, and he was a very famous broadcaster, and he's from East St. Louis. And he said we were always torn because he saw that there was a difference between how, politically even or how people kind of live their lives depending on if they were Cubs fans or Cardinals fans. And so his basic slant was the Cubs fans were always just kind of more cheery and jovial and fun, and the Cards fans were just more serious and adamant. And I just thought that was very interesting. He said, if I was more of a Cubs fan, I think I'd be a different person, and I don't think I'd become a broadcaster. I don't think I'd write these books because
Interesting.
I'm a little bit more reserved or conservative. Because I wouldn't
Hmm.
I wouldn't say the Cards fans are reserved or conservative, but I
We're
just thought it was
not.
a very
Yeah.
interesting how he saw the differences. You know,
I think for me, possibly, I used to do music videos on the scoreboard for the Cardinals. That was one of my jobs early on in the industry. Um, and I
wow.
believed possibly that when you have a taste of winning, you want to win again and again and again. But because the Cubby fans didn't really get a chance to have that championship, because now I bet now that they've tasted it, they want more, right? And it's kind of like acting. When you
Of
have a
course.
great role, and you've done a ton of stuff, Jurassic, you've done like all kinds of stuff, Chad, HBO, you've done a lot. But don't you find it also like when you've had a little taste of that success, that it makes you eager as an actor to have that next experience or that next that win with your cast and your crew.
Yes, I was just talking about this to someone in an interview that in March of 20 have again, thank you. I've been doing this for 40 years, 160 movies and TV shows. I call myself the Forrest Gump of actors. I just kind of show up periodically. So now people can watch things and I ruin it for them. Like, oh, there's James. Just kind of like it's a good thing. But in March of 2020, after decades of doing this, I'm at the premiere of Spencer Confidential. There's 300 people around me. Everybody's getting selfies. I look over at my manager of 27 years, and he has this huge smile on his face. He's like, "Lean into it. You're a 30-year overnight sensation." He's like,
Oh,
"Lean in." And at that point in time, I was invited to Vanity Fair. They're flying me out for the premiere. I used to fly myself to premieres like I did for Candy Cane Lane. Like I used to fly myself, rent a car, do all these and for the first time, Netflix is flying me out. And then after this, I'm going to the premiere of The Banker in Memphis, and they're flying me out, putting me in a hotel, and sending me a car. And I know I was just at Vanity Fair, and I'm at these Oscar, parties, and it is very intoxicating for a working journeyman actor or a jobber, as some people coined it, as a journeyman actor like myself, to just be in this rarefied air for a second, and for just a second, a lot longer than that. But what it's like to kind of go from having to hustle and do and pay your own way to all of a sudden everybody's kind of taking care of things. And it's extremely intoxicating because again, like you said, you want it all the time. And I think too, you expect it. It gives you a sense of, a little bit of entitlement. And entitlement's a double-edged sword, can be very helpful for you, but most of the time entitlement's not a great thing because you expect, once you win that many times, you expect it to happen every year. So, right. So we're so used to losing, I think, as Cubs fan, you just get accustomed to like next year, maybe
Yeah.
next year.
There's always
And
there's
so
your hope,
but
that moment of
I think that
hope.
has a lot to do with absolutely, but I think it has a lot to do with my longevity and resilience in my career. Is I never rest on any laurels. I do believe that unfortunately, the way the brutality of the business is that you're only as good as your next job or the job you're doing today. What you did in the past really doesn't mean so much. I think it does because you create a body of work, a legacy beyond my lifetime. But I feel like it's really the next thing. It really comes down to next season. It really comes down to like what's next. Now for us, this was my one and only job with Candy Cane Lane. Because the threat of the Writers Guild strike, they stunt cast a lot of big guest star roles that I normally would have done. I did this job the last 2 days of shooting, for Candy Cane Lane in March. The movie comes out in December. There was a Writers Guild strike in May, Actors Guild strike in July. We just got, our contract in November. So the point is, this one and only job, I'm gonna ride this. We're gonna ride the Candy Cane Lane as long as we possibly can, because it's the one thing. But lucky for us, we created a movie that's for everybody. There's only one swear word in there, and it's like it's a accessible kind of family movie. The little kids get jokes, the teenagers get jokes, the adults get jokes, and you come up with a family fun, magical Christmas experience that you're right could have a cult thing. They're already talking about a sequel. Hopefully that comes to fruition. But there's enough here that we're at a time. There's so much division, and people are having a really hard time getting through life. That it's good to be the feel good movie at a time when everybody needs that.
I appreciate what you said, and I feel that for me, my television show to me was divinely gifted back in 2008. And people used to laugh at me when I said, "Oh, I've got a television show that's all good news." They're like, but now, Mr. DuMont, they actually tell me thank you. They're like, "Oh, thank you." They're like, "Wow." I want to tell you, thank you very much for spending this time with me. I feel like there's like a kindred spirit with you. I don't know if it's because we're both from the Midwest or whatever, but I
Oh
wish you
no,
the
you and I
happiest
need to
of
do
holidays.
you and I need to do a longer interview at some point because
Oh,
yeah, we should definitely talk.
I would love that too. And I also belong to the Screen Actors Guild, but I've been doing this television show. And so I only get to do like little bit parts, but sometime I would love the opportunity to do a scene with you, even if it's just on the local stage down the street. But James, thank you so much for your time. And I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I appreciate you. Be well. Thank you again. Candy Cane Lane. You guys, if you haven't
That
seen
was
it
a
yet,
good
you got to
bite.
see it
You
because
got it.
I would watch it over and over and over and over. In fact, I think I'm going to go home and watch it tonight.